been involved in the women's movement and the civil rights movement, and I believe in equality. I have introduced legislation that would ban discrimination in workplace and housing based on sexual orientation for years. I don't see how, under our Constitution, you can say that someone should be denied a fundamental right of marriage. And it's really easy to see if you read the decisions on African Americans who wanted to marry white people. The court said it is a fundamental right to marry. And I think we have to go in that direction. I support it. I voted against the Defense of Marriage Act, and I think we need to get there. I don't know what the best way to get there is, but I think our country is changing, and I appreciate all the young people that support that. That was a very lonely position I took, and it was quite some time ago, but I think that, you know, sometimes you have to draw the line, and I don't think we should be wounding people by saying that just because they're different, they don't have the same constitutional rights as other people. So I support it, and I'm not sure how we're going to get there. I believe we're going to get there, and I thank all the young people that are helping to change our country to be more inclusive and more welcoming.
Yes.
Oh, I don't think that the delegate and I are going to agree on this one. I believe that marriage is between one man and one woman. I'm proud that West Virginia is one of those 4 states that has taken the role that they have. I'll cede the rest of my time to the rest of the candidates.
Thank you.
Well, I'll make it 2 in favor of the same-sex marriage with my friend Barbara. And in the circuit courts are turning these laws down in the other states as soon as it comes up in a state and it goes to the circuit court. They throw out that law that bans same-sex marriages.
Thank you. I too am against discrimination and supporting equality. I have several friends, and certainly several friends around Morgantown that are gay and are same-sex couples, and some of my dear friends, and I think the world of them. And I think as we go forward and the way that our households look have changed. There's certainly a lot of couples today that never get married but share a family. And I think, what people are looking for is just to be recognized as equals, whether that be from a tax structure. Certainly know in our federal taxes that you get the marriage tax credit. And certainly there's inheritance laws and issues with having, a different household situation than what we've had in the past and what we've traditionally known. So I certainly support the avenues and the methods of making sure that we treat those households just as equal as we do others.
Thank you.
Well, let me just say that I too share a lot of the opinions here to my left. I'm against discrimination of any kind, and have signed co-sponsored actually on the Senate side, the companion piece to the House in regards to fair housing. I agree with Senator Edgell. I don't think it's going to be a legislative decision. I think the courts are going to make that determination. It's just a matter of time before it comes to West Virginia. Kentucky has been overturned in their position, and several states have also. So, again, I don't think it's the legislature's position right now. I think it's going to come down to the courts.
I forget the exact year, but it was in the 90s when there was a pressure brought on the city council, and as the mayor, I supported. I don't remember the exact wording now, but sexual orientation and some other wording that was to be put into the code for the city of Morgantown, and I supported that. I had a lot of criticism, and some of those individuals later came around to apologize to me for the way they had approached me and discussed it with me. But I was pleased to say on the night that we took the vote, it passed unanimously. So many times you say what you would do if a bill were presented in the House, and you may even present the bill, but by the time it goes through different committees and some of the wording in it, when it gets back to the floor, you may vote against it, and it may have your name on it as the lead. So I would have to say that, depending on how the legislation is worded and whatever happens when it goes through all the committees, then I would consider whether I would vote for it or not.
Thank you.
Well, I am highly opposed to discrimination of any type. I think that every individual, they're the people that have to make that decision. I fully support same-sex marriage. I do not think that it is my responsibility or my judgment should ever play into what someone else does.
Thank you.
I think that love between two people is a sacred thing. And with that said, why should the government get in between two consenting adults who love each other? And with that, I am a proud supporter of same-sex marriage, and I would support that in the legislature. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a few things that really get me worked up, and it's the fact that people think it's okay that the government can license marriages. The fact that we've gotten to a place in America that we, even heterosexual couples, ask the government for a license to get married is not freedom. Nowhere near freedom, I think that is, that we request the state to license our marriage. I am 110% for gay marriage. One of my best friends in my life is gay. I completely support him and his partner and whatever they decide to do. And I think that a different view than everybody else here has is I don't want the state to allow heterosexuals, homosexuals, whatever, to get married. I want the state to recognize a contract drawn up by two people saying we are now in a unionship, we are now married, and I want the state to recognize that. That puts the power back in people's hands. It limits the amount of governance the government has over our individual lives and what we do in our bedrooms, which is, once again, not freedom. So I think when we talk about this kind of stuff, that's what we need to look at is how have we got to this spot where the government doesn't allow this or that this is even an issue the government is involved in, and how can we get it back to the people? So that's my...
I will tell you that I, like others up here, believe this will be settled in the courts. I don't believe it will be settled in legislation, but I will honestly answer you because I do believe in honesty. I will tell you that I can support civil unions. I don't believe in discriminating, but my religious background will not allow me to vote for anything but a man and a woman being married.
Thank you.
As I mentioned before, I attended Austin Ross College. It's a private Baptist school. I was one of those individuals that got there in 1966 and in 1970. They did away with CAG credits. CAG credit meant that you had to attend chapel on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And if you didn't have your CAG credits, you couldn't graduate. You had to take the Old Testament. You had to take the New Testament. You had to take situation ethics, philosophy of religion. It was all mandated. Okay? So I grew up as a Christian, old school. Being a legislator, you have standards and values that you sincerely grow up with. It's extremely hard to change those personal beliefs that you have. I sincerely believe that marriage is between one man and one woman. Having said that, I don't think there's any doubt that our country is changing. It's going to go away from that. And the courts are going to be the ones that are probably going to make that decision. Someone can keep a scorecard. I'd like to keep social issues out of politics, but it's impossible because particular groups, won't let that happen. The other thing that I could never quite understand was you get married in the church, why don't you get divorced in the church? Doesn't happen.
Thank you.
Since the beginning of time, the foundation of the family has been set. Every major religion in the world has said marriage is between a man and a woman. Being a Christian, I support that.
Thank you.
Excuse me. I am on record of supporting two resolutions for the city of Morgantown. The first resolution was brought to us by our Human Rights Commission, and it was recognizing fair housing and non-discrimination in the workplace, no matter what your sexual orientation is. The other resolution had to do with marriage equity, which I supported also. I just want to say, as a parent, I feel like my husband and I have raised 2 children and have taught them not to judge people, but to accept people as they are. Thank you.
Thank you.